Nakata. Steve, he'll take you through the whole process, the project, and then, as I said, we're here to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Hands up. I just want one question. Is this a done deal?
That's exactly.
No, absolutely. So let me preface this by saying this is our first community meeting, right? This is the first opportunity to show this to you. The process is that we do a public meeting, we then submit the project to the city provides its feedback, ultimately there'll be perhaps another community meeting like this, a planning commission hearing where the planning commission will vote. So this is far from a done deal. This is our very first opportunity to share this project with you. We're here tonight to listen and to hear what you have to say and to incorporate that feedback in the final version of the project that we then present to the
I know you said to wait on questions. Why weren't we notified?
Yeah, there were a lot of people that
We had no idea this was happening. I live on Slauson.
That was the letter that you got in the mail that brought you here tonight.
Drop the ball. Raise your hand if you did not get the notice.
Wow.
I know what to tell you. I know what to tell you. I know what to tell you. You submitted an application. Okay, I'm going to start from the very beginning. Before Jeff is getting a little beat up, so let me just start from the beginning. Okay. We've been looking at this project. Full transparency, Sandstone and myself, okay, the architect, I'm Steve Nakata with Nakata Associates, okay. Sandstone Properties is a developer, okay, they acquired this property, I want to say 3 years ago, okay. We've been working on this for about 2 years, just trying to assess the property as to highest and best use, okay. So they've looked at different uses, and we came on where they started focusing on the hotel. Right. Now, typically what happens when a developer acquires a property, they start looking at economics, they start looking at what's allowed by planning. Okay, so they do what's called a form, highest and best use, and they do this financial model. Okay? The task that they put to the architects is to, can they make that happen? Can this work with the use of a hotel? Can it work with the parking, the traffic that's associated with it? Are there any impacts? Are we going to have to ask for a variance? Are we going to have to look for some sort of density bonus? All those words that add density and make the project financial. The project that we're going to see tonight, okay, is a by right development, in quotes. I don't like saying by right because nothing is by right. We do work throughout Southern California, whether it's for a city, a university, or a private developer, and it often involves community outreach. We as architects, we may be creative, okay, but it's not done in a vacuum. If you're doing an urban project, such as in a community like the city, or in Pasadena, or even downtown LA, one of the things that we do is we go out and we get input from the community. Because the thing that makes projects work, okay, and successful for both the community and the developer, is when we actually have an understanding of what's the right fit, okay? What's the right use, and what's the least impact to the community, okay? Now, what I'm going to do today, okay, yes, it's been shown to the city, but we have not had a formal submittal. The city has a very rigorous PPR process that actually started in Pasadena. It's called the Preliminary Planning Review Process. I started that 20 years ago with Pasadena, and I went through 3 projects with this PPR process. It's now come over to Culver City, and it's now being adopted by the City of Los Angeles. So this PPR process that the city has is actually a very good process and a tool for the community and the developer to engage in a dialogue, okay? So while we've shown this to the city, we have not formally submitted. So this is actually the first meeting where the project has passed muster. We've actually met the criteria for the city for us to submit to the city, but we have to show it to the community first. Okay.
Do you have anyone from the city here tonight?
Yes, but I'm not going to disclose that because I don't know where it's at. Oh, it's Jose Mendoza. And Jose has held our feet to the fire. Okay, so like I said, we've been on this for 2 years. He's got a checklist. He's made sure about zoning issues, height issues, traffic issues. So every department of the city through this PPR process, whether it's traffic, public works, utilities, all of that stuff, fire department, building department, they've all had looked for any potential issues, okay, and they've brought that to our attention early on. So now, this is the first test for the community, okay? What I really like to do is go through this presentation. I can do it fairly quickly, okay, and then we can get to the Q&A. You can also see some materials that we're actually looking at. So we actually brought samples of the exterior of the building. And we've actually got fixed boards here that I'm going to unveil and turn around. And then everybody can come up and we can have a one-on-one dialogue. We also have some consultants here that I'll introduce during Q&A to address some of these other questions.
I'm just curious, how much money have you guys already spent on this?
Well, I'm just the architect. No, I'm going to tell you right now. There's a budget. Okay, we're targeting a construction budget that's helping us move in the construction business. Okay, so oftentimes there's a target cost for the project. I will say this. The project is intended to be a 4-star hotel, a boutique hotel. And for that, to attract a development of that, it has to be a certain caliber. So the kind of materials that you're going to see here is not going to be a 4-point hotel or
I think my point is, once you dump a certain amount of money into a project, there's probably no turning back. My point.
I will only say this. Okay, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've seen projects come and go within 15 years, and some within 15 months. Okay, so it all depends on a number of different factors. I mean, if recession hits tomorrow, if China calls their lot on their loans, okay, things will change. Okay? So if you're the last one. Oh, you are? Then you should be sitting up here.
Well, speaking of which, could you shout? Because those of us back here can't.
There's a shower. There's chairs
I'm
over
not a
here.
shouter, okay, but I'm going to try to speak slower and louder, and I'll try to rotate along, okay? But I will say this, okay? After this meeting, if I didn't hear anything quite clearly, we will have these boards up, and we can have one-on-one conversation, okay? All right. You know what, maybe we should hit the lights. That might be better.
Trying to keep it in the dark.
You can't see that. Oh, there you go. Okay, we thought we'd start out from a kind of a abstract area. Okay, so this is the 405 freeway. It's the 90. Okay, this is Jefferson. And this is Slauson right here, and this is our site. This is the blue image there. That's at the corner of Slauson and Jefferson. Okay, and we just wanted to show it in context with the rest of Culver City. So this is right on the fringe of Culver City next to the LA site. And everything in blue here is Culver City. And we put this red rectangle here so you can kind of see it in context with the boundaries of the freeway and the 90 freeway. Okay. These are the neighborhoods that the drawings that you're going to see right now, this is part of our analysis that we've been doing over the last couple of years. Okay, we're interested in what is the residential communities. It's made up of Sunkist Park, Park West, Studio Village. Okay. We're looking at the commercial Carries?
You're welcome.
You're with?
I'm with the PTA.
That's great. Is the PTA the ones that kind of took away our projector and screen? Okay, so this is the commercial area that we're looking at. So there's three, C3 at Culver Points, Corporate Point, Fox Hills Park. And then this is one of the reasons, okay, that we're actually targeting a hotel here. Okay, this is Silicon Beach, so this is where Google, this is where Facebook, Yahoo, Snapchat, Hulu, they're all in this area. We are targeting the business travelers, the millennial business travelers who come here and have a dearth of hotels, a 4-star that they're seeking. And this is our site, okay? Everything that you saw on the surface, that's essentially a 5-minute walk, okay, quarter of a mile. Here's our site, and this is the front view of the strip mall that's there today. This is the view heading into the Sunkist Park. This is the alley looking westward to Slauson, and this is actually the entrance to the alley. Now, this is Bilbao in Spain, okay, and this is about development, okay, and what it can do to the city, especially a historic city. So this is the historic river along Bilbao. This was a industrial yard that actually was a disconnect to the main city, the historic city. This is when Guggenheim came and they actually did a museum in this area here and just started this development. Now there's a connection to the street, to the river, okay, and that kind of revitalized the entire economy of the city on both sides of the river. This is a forlorn elevated railway in New York City called the High Line. The community, along with some planners on both the city side and the developer side, did this elevated park. Okay, and it's now connecting 3 distinct neighborhoods throughout Manhattan because of this elevated park. Okay, and not that we're doing it more. This is your commercial strip that buffers the residential communities along Jefferson and Slauson. And we just colored this green. This is actually what we call a figure ground diagram. It shows how much open space for potential development, open space for potential parks that could happen in this area. So we're trying to do a development with the city that could be transformative to the area. A lot of these buildings haven't changed in probably 40 years. Okay? The first grocery store experience I ever did with my mom growing up was the Mayfair here. First time I ever played, first time I ever bowled, there was a bowling alley next to there. My aunt actually used to run the florist shop, keeping florists and something. So I've seen this area, okay? Not quite has changed, and I think there's, not enough has changed, and I think, you know, there could be, I think, strategic and smart development if it's done right. This is a preview, so don't get too excited right now. But this is Jefferson, this is Slauson, this is essentially a courtyard hotel. Okay, this is Segrel, this is the alley, this is the Sunkist residential neighborhood. I'm just giving you an overview of this right now, and we'll get into the details of how we got to this design. Okay. This is what we call a program. Those of you in real estate and construction, you know, we go through this program as to what the project is, what can happen, and the intentional design. So this is from the alley, Jefferson, Slauson, right up against the Dollar Tree. It's 0.78 acres, just under a full acre of development. We are doing 175 rooms on 5 levels, actually 4 levels, okay? And that sounds like a lot of rooms, but again, we are targeting a millennial business person, okay? The trend right now is micro hotels, and these are actually rooms that are about 275 square feet. No closet, just a bathroom, nice window view, high amenities, and most of the time that they spend is outside of the room. Okay?
So that's what you're talking about doing,
Yes,
that kind of room?
yes, yeah, okay. The other thing is, it's a type 1 construction. Okay, type 1 construction is the highest form of construction. This is concrete construction. It's the subterranean garage as well as the 5 levels above are all concrete. Okay, the reason for that, it's a higher quality building. Sandstone's intent right now is to do the highest quality development they can. It's not going to
Can
be.
you hold the microphone a little closer to your mouth, please?
I'm sorry?
Can you hold the microphone a little bit closer to your mouth?
Yeah, when I was talking,
Change the-
I hear this echo when I'm talking. Okay, so it's not a podium style building where they do a concrete base and wood construction. This is actually all concrete construction, type 1, okay? Fully sprinklered, full fire life safety system. Okay. This is a building program that actually does the economics. So it's 122,000 square feet. Hotel amenities, which includes a number of public spaces, is 34,000 square feet. We have 207 cars on one deep subterranean level. That garage is fully automated. There is no parking ramps. The valets that will manage the garage will actually park the car. It automatically goes into its place. The cars are turned off. It's all a shuttle system. If you've been to the Helms Bakery, they actually have the same automated parking garage in their facility. We'll talk about that more. And this, we actually have bicycle parking for 30 cars, 30 bikes, 10 at grade and 20 below grade on one of the automated parking paths. Okay. This is a simple diagram that actually shows the development. The maximum building height is 56 feet in vertical height. We have a setback on the alley side at 60 degrees, 10 feet away from the property line of the residence. And in a typical development, okay, well, I should say this. So this hotel site actually buffers the sound from Jefferson, from the Sunkist side, okay? And in a typical development, you would do a lot of your amenities on the roof, okay? What we're doing on this is we're moving all of the amenities and a lot of the uses that are public towards the street, okay? So what we're doing is the rooftop amenity, which is a pool, is actually on the Jefferson side. On the residential side where the alley is, we've actually stepped the building back. We've stepped the building back and we're actually doing landscape terraces along there. You'll see that in some of the other buildings. The other thing that we're doing is we're internalizing the courtyard and the common area spaces off the street within the donut form that you guys saw, and it's got some landscaping. This is the site plan, so this is the property line here, up against Dollar Tree and Osh. This is the alley, Slauson, Jefferson. So we have a very small frontage on Jefferson, and it turns a corner, Jefferson, and it turns a corner on Slauson. This is the entrance to the parking, Port Cochere, the valet parking. Right out there. This is the subterranean parking. You'll notice that there is no drive aisles or anything. Everything is automated by shuttles. We actually have parking bays coming off of here. The cars drop down and they get slotted in. Okay? So it's a fully automated parking garage. No drivers or anything else. The valet drives up to a load bay, it drops down, gets programmed. So all of it mitigates the traffic, okay, and the queuing time that happens. This is the ground floor plan. Everything in blue is the common area. So along Jefferson, we've got a courtyard here. This is the lobby area, meeting rooms, and a restaurant. The restaurant is about 1,500 square feet, 1,800 square feet, and we've got a kitchen, another 1,400 square feet. It's envisioned that this hotel is not just a boutique hotel for business traveler. In order to make the restaurant, the restaurant be economical, one of the things that we're looking at is a farm to table type restaurant. I know that's kind of a overused term, but we are looking for somebody that's local, kind of like an Akasha, who can actually serve a breakfast entree, breakfast service in the mornings, do a lunch, midday, and then in the evenings, the restaurant can actually transform into something that could be quite elegant, someplace that you could do an anniversary or a special event. This is your courtyard podium, so this happens directly over the ground floor. It's the first floor of hotel rooms. You can see the terraces that actually go as deep as 30 feet, as narrow as 12 feet along the alley side. Okay, and you'll see that in the elevation. So the idea is to screen the hotel use from the neighbors, as well as screen viewing into the neighbor's backyard. This is a courtyard on this podium area, and this is envisioned as being a landscaped area where the hotel guest can actually look down and actually see the views instead of across the street, as well as be a special event space. So there's a lot of different public areas in this. And then, oh, I'm sorry, this is another meeting room that's happening up here. So there's a number of meeting rooms that can happen that are both for the business traveler as well as for the even the community. Another typical floor. Each of these floors, by the way, carries about 40 hotel rooms, all total with 175. And then this is the fitness center. Again, typical floor. And this is the roof deck where we actually have a pool on the Jefferson side. And again, you can see the terracing that happens along this truncated edge along the alley. And then this is the courtyard. This is the roof plan. Again, the courtyard, the alley, the terraces, and the pool deck. This is Culver City. All these buildings on this slide is from Culver City. Okay, and I think one thing that's very interesting is that Culver City has a rich heritage of progressive, innovative architecture. Okay, this is not something that we're trying to do. I think that I think what is interesting is that Culver City has this heritage of quality buildings. Okay, some people may not think these are quality buildings, but the planning and the way that the city has, let's call it, shepherded the process, we think it has some of the better buildings in Los Angeles. Okay, for as small as Culver City is. This is a view of the elevation. This is a flat elevation of the Jefferson view. And we're actually taking some of our inspirations from the freeway. And we're also trying to pixelize, or for lack of a better word, pixelize some of the images that we see. We hope that the Taco Bell and some of those other things aren't there forever, but the idea is to reflect the sky, the mountains, and everything else in the distance. This is the Slauson side, and you're going to see in some of the other imagery, this is Cloudgate sculpture in Chicago. This is another curved form in New York. And again, one of the ideas is to actually pixelize the exterior views. This is a view of the courtyard by day. Facing this, so the type of materials that we're looking at, you'll see at the end of the presentation. We're looking at translucent glass, opaque glass, we're actually looking at perforated metal. So there's a number of things, so it's not an entirely glass building, but I think one of the things that we are interested in is making this be somewhat dynamic and at the same time reveal some of the spaces that happen within the building. So you could actually see the meeting rooms, the restaurant, the glass bridge, pedestrian bridge that happens over there. Look at the courtyard that happens beyond, and the lower courtyard, which actually spills out as the entrance to the hotel lobby as well as restaurant dining room and restaurant. This is a section showing, section elevation showing the courtyard. This is where Dollar Tree and Bosch is, and this is the side of the hotel. So you can see where we're looking at some ideas of actually landscape terraces. This is the alley elevation. So we've actually got a green wall. We've got some images from other projects that show a vertical green wall, okay? As well as on these terraces, and we've actually set the views back with raised planters to do sightline cutoffs to the neighborhoods and get the view up. So these are some of those images. So these are actually the hotel rooms. These 4 levels of hotel rooms over the lobby level. The 2 levels of automated parking. This is the alley. These are the houses along Sabrel. This is their backyard. And you see we've got these high planters, okay, that actually, from the person's eye level, we're actually cutting off their sight lines, okay, to views. We're trying to elevate their views to the west, to the sunset, to the mountains.
Could you explain that a little bit better? Because most of us, that's really all we care about is our children in our backyards,
Yeah.
putting fish holes.
Yeah, so let me, I'd like to,
And this school,
yeah, so let me, let's, I'm gonna come back to that after I see some of these other images. This is actually the alley elevation, okay? So this is what you were seeing in section, go back to the section. Where you're seeing in section, all of these green layers here, that's actually the setback. So we work with the city on how best to screen views, both from the hotel, but especially from the neighbors looking out. Okay, so these planters are going to be essentially 5, 6, okay, and they'll be terraced down on the inside so that most of the inside of that terraced wall, they're going to look at landscape. Okay, they'll look above that, they'll see sky. If you're in the residential, if you're in these backyards here, okay, you won't see the other person. That's what this line is for. It's actually their sight line, okay, and it gets cut off by the ridge of the house. You're shaking your head like you don't believe it.
it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so the planter, just imagine. the planters that I can-
Everybody in Sunset Park, their backyards will not be able to be seen by people, and not from the rooftop pool either.
No, the rooftop pool is on the other side, on Jefferson, okay? And these rooms here, I want to say that there's probably 8 rooms per level, so it's probably 32 rooms, okay? All of these rooms would have balconies that actually have cutoff planters, okay? Probably at about 5 to 6 feet high, okay? And we have low planting as well as trees planted on it, okay? So go to the rendering.
What about the noise coming from down?
Well, let me just stick with views first, okay? And so these are these terraces that you're looking at here, okay? These are the terraces, okay? This is that green one that's there. So the idea is that on one side of the building, there is this reflective glass, let's call it more urban face. On the residential side, it's all about landscaping, terracing, okay, and screening, okay? It's a lot better than looking at a concrete block wall, 45 feet. This is all terraced, so it's stepping back, and it's all landscaped.
What is that green wall? Is it just painted on or what?
It is landscape.
There's that green wall at the end.
Is it moss, is it?
Okay, we have a landscape architect. Okay, green walls, is, they actually have, planting that is, there's some of them are ferns. I'm not an expert in vertical walls, but it is a,
Living,
Live
live
oh
plant.
yeah, these are live plants.
Oh,
Okay, if you guys are familiar with DIRT, DIRRT, it's a company in Culver City, okay, that's on Sling Blade, right behind the Sony Studios, and they specialize in this. So this is not something that we're just dreaming up and
Oh.
rendering, okay? This is something that we.
It's alive.
Was 4 stories a decision made by, like, is there a height maximum?
5
'Cause those
stories.
houses-
It's
5 stories, because those houses have solar panels. And so that's gonna block their access to any access to
It
sun.
won't block their access.
How is that?
Part of our requirement is to actually do shade and shadow study as we submit to the city. So we've got scientists, we've got engineers, okay? One of the things is to not cast shadows, okay, on buildings and also for a limited time. So you're gonna see some technical studies on that.
What kind of environmental review document are you gonna do? A negative declaration, an EIR, what's the plan?
Okay,
Let them finish.
yeah. I'm looking for a life jacket from the city, but I can't speak right now. In fact, we're almost finished with this. Let me just go through this. We'll turn on the lights and we'll actually, I'm sorry. Let me finish this. I've only got maybe 3 more slides and we can kind of address some of these questions. Okay, because those are actually good questions about the technical issues, about shade and shadow, acoustics,
We've been through this traffic, yeah.
and so have I, okay? So have I, okay? And we try our best to partner with the community and do it right. Okay, because the last thing we want to do is go in the wrong direction, okay? Okay.
Let's go here. And then ask all the
Yeah,
questions.
let's finish.
There's much,
I really thought I had some momentum here. Okay, so look, part of our inspiration does come from nature, so part of this idea of a courtyard, how can we make it more special? All of you are familiar with cenotes, these sinkholes in Mexico, and bringing light and all of that. We actually do this on some of our projects, we bring light into underground lobbies. We're doing that here. So there's this connection with the Jefferson, the courtyard, the podium level plaza, okay, as well as on the roof. Another courtyard shot. So these are some things that our landscape architect is looking at to actually enliven the public space as well as make it into something for special events. These are also sections, so it gives you a relationship of the magenta that's actually the hotel room, the corridor, the elevator, corridor, the stairwell, and this is the cenote into the courtyard. And this here is also the glass bridge, courtyard, pool deck. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how things stack in this project. And then this is a view of what the courtyard interior could look like. Could be for art, it could be for weddings, but it's essentially a landscape space for public gathering. This is the pool deck on the roof, so you can see how the curtain wall actually comes up about 6 or 7 feet high, and it's actually giving people's views to the mountains and the sky. This is actually the roof element, this cenote piece, and then there's the courtyard below. And this is a nighttime shot of the building with the courtyard on Jefferson, meeting room, restaurant, dining, and rooftop. That's it. So if we could have lights.
Zach,
I'm more than willing to take other views. Okay. I will say this, the people here in Culver City are a lot nicer than.
We're not done.
Yeah, I know this won't be the only one. Okay? So, I feel like I'm in church. It is Easter week, right? Okay.
You want to ask a question?
I haven't heard anything from you, so.
One of the problems that I have with that is that corner, the villa is outrageous. I mean, that just, I can't tell you how many times, I even called the police, and said, you guys have got to get out here because people run after the left, make the left. Underneath the line, so I can't get across. If I have to go to the Trader Joe's, I can get across. And so to have something like that there is just like a nightmare. Like, I mean, better off to take just buy the Home Depot and have it there because it's more accessible to the area you're talking about. The people that are gonna need it, if they want to walk, I can't imagine the number of people, I mean, just, you can't walk in there.
Let me take something off the table, okay? Because I've heard this, a number of people say, let me take something off the table. It's not that we can't, okay, so, and I've actually heard this coming along, some people are saying, why a hotel here? Why don't you go put the hotel somewhere else? Yeah. Let me say this, the hotel or some project is gonna come here, okay? So the best thing that we can do right now is for me to listen to you guys, partner with you guys, and make something better. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that is the solution. I've done this before, okay? And the idea is to join forces with a private developer. He's not your enemy, okay? The developer here, okay, is a property owner, okay? So help the property owner, the developer, do their highest and best use, okay? And get them to work, help you guys get to the city to live here. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, the best traffic mitigation isn't being implemented right now, okay? There's other things that can be done, okay? We just need to listen, okay? And we just need to work together to make that happen.
So what is your plan for traffic mitigation?
Okay. I'm not gonna punt yet, okay, but we are talking to the city, okay, about different areas. Now, I've heard things about traffic on Sigrel, I've heard about traffic in the alley, okay, and those are all things, okay, that we need to engage with you guys. We've got some of the best, and I'm not kidding, we've got some of the best consultants on this job, okay, Crane and Associates is our traffic engineer. We've got ESA, Environmental Sciences Associates, okay? And we will work with you guys.
How many nights a month do the Central Park residents get to stay?
Well, see, I'm gonna say, you just fast forwarded way ahead. Maybe you should get negotiations. Well, seriously, Sorry. One of the things that this developer is engage the community on use. If it's only 175 units, where we didn't go for additional, believe me, you can put your hands down. I'm gonna do you next, and you. Okay.
Can you raise your hand higher?
And you.
My hand.
Okay. So it's only 175 units. Okay. And so they're targeting a certain market, okay, millennials. Okay, some of the guys that are actually working here are the designers on this. Okay. But I think one of the things that we need to do is actually figure out how to do a highest and best use that engages not just the business traveler, but also the community. That's why the restaurant, okay, needs to be something that you folks can walk to for coffee, for lunch, or for dinner, okay? I'm sorry? Yeah, you're the one that just asked me about using the hotel. Okay, I'm gonna actually exercise some chivalry here.
I just have one question. When you're gonna take the land, like from Slauson going down Jefferson, you're talking about, I know the one little strip mall you're talking about, but Beyond that is the Dollar Tree and the area where Osh was. And beyond that is Winchell's and Honey Baked Ham. Like, how far down are you planning on going?
Well, right now, we're only talking about this. Right now, this site.
So not Dollar Tree or anything?
Well, if they offer the developer some sort of sweet deal, I'm sure we'll look at doing something like that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, that kind of development along this, look, I've heard about the Champion development 10, 12 years ago that was too dense, too high, too much, all at one time, okay? And I do believe in smart development, strategic incremental development. You can never do a large development for that one moment in time for the community, okay? Things change. I mean, things take a time to get built. And so, I'm sorry?
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time, but again, this is where you partner with the city and you say, hey, we know it's coming, but let's do something right, let's plan something, because, look, the best baseball hitter knows what's coming. Okay,
Now, if you live here, would you stay here?
yes. Let me tell you something, okay, we won't do a design, we won't take on a commission if it's not a project that we will use ourselves. Okay? Seriously.
I'm sorry, but I don't believe you.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. Young lady, you're gonna have to give me some.
Young lady.
I can't respond to that, but
Yeah, but I'm honest, telling you.
yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, okay, most of the projects that we do, we use.
But I wouldn't say you'd move into my neighborhood and linger with your children and your grandchildren. I don't think so. I really don't think so once this building goes up and the traffic is 100 times worse than what it is now.
You can't get across.
Okay.
But the property is sold. I mean, something's going to be built
Yeah,
there, right?
you know, I literally don't want to get in, I don't want to have internal debates amongst you guys. I want it all to come my way and let's try to talk. So that patient management.
So just one initial comment I do have to echo my neighbors. A lot of them did not get notices, so I actually posted them next door and got a lot of thank yous because they did not get either notices or the way it was delivered. Frankly, it looked like a piece of marketing material, so I think most people probably threw it away. So just as a friendly comment, you probably need to do a better job of outreach to the neighborhood.
Okay.
Because in order to build trust, first people need to know about it. But my substantive question is, so you have the parking spaces, and it's a two-part question. A, how many employees do you plan to have at the facility? And B, is there sufficient parking for them? Where are the employees going to park? Is it on site?
That's a very good question.
That you don't have the answer to?
We have a dealership that just went in and they made a great plan for their employees to park on site, but they park their new cars there and their employees string all the way around in Culver City.
So I'm going to tell you right now, okay, I don't have the answer right now, okay, because I'm going to tell you that the parking that we designed, okay, is for the use. Okay?
So not for the employees.
Not for the employees.
So the employees will park in the community.
Yeah, well, hold on.
Right?
I mean, and I want to get back to your first question, okay? Okay, when notices go out, okay, and they're not received, well, that's on us, okay? But that's also why we have these community outreach meetings, okay? Is to make sure that people hear about the meeting, okay? And that's why we do multiple meetings, okay? Now, to your issue about parking, okay? That's part of what we call shared parking strategies, where we actually use off-site parking from some of the neighbors. Okay, when I say neighbors, I'm talking about our commercial neighbors. Okay, so we have Dollar Tree, okay? And when I'm talking neighbors, I'm talking our commercial property neighbors. Okay? There's parking across the street, okay? But that's all something that we have to look at with the and the city.
Right now, Sorrel and the next street over have permit parking, so you won't be able to park there anyways.
Right.
So I can't see you guys parking at Dollar Tree, if it's like an hour and a half or 2 hour parking, then you get towed. So where are you gonna park your employees?
I'm gonna have to work that out.
I think you need to provide your own parking.
Yeah, we have. Right, okay, but like I said, it's probably gonna be some sort of, parking, settlement agreement with the, commercial neighbors.
Were they shuttled possibly?
I'm, like I said, I don't know, that might be an option.
Is it true you're gonna
Hold
walk
on,
the
hold on,
alleys?
hold on, hold on. I'm trying to make a mental map of people I just promised. She's
Thank you. So I have to tell you, I've been where you are before. I was a city attorney for many years. I've been on the planning commission, I've been on the city council. I know what it's like, so I understand and you're doing a good job answering questions. But I also understand that the way this process works, what you say to us in these meetings may sound great, and it looks like you've got a lot of really thoughtful ideas, but it doesn't necessarily translate into the final project. So that's why my question is about what kind of environmental review document are you gonna do? And will you, after that's done, make sure that everybody who's interested gets a copy of all the conditions that are proposed and all that sort of stuff? Because it's in the documentation that we find out if the pretty pictures are really what this neighborhood is gonna experience.
right.
And if things like you won't be able to, see from here to here, all of that, the parking, the sound, the sight lines, all of that goes into an environmental document and means a lot more to me than what you tell me standing here. So that's what I want to know.
Jose, can I just ask you a quick question? Yeah, I do.
Real quick, this is city process. We require technical studies like a parking study, shade and shadow, traffic, greenhouse gas, phase one, archeo paleo, phase one environmental, all these studies, and we analyze that to see and then we analyze that against an initial study that we're required to do for state CEQA law. So my take on this, having seen enough of these, is that this will, in my estimation, will be a mitigated negative declaration. An EIR would be required if impacts are identified in the initial study, given all the studies, that cannot be mitigated. So as an example, a traffic study will, let's say there's two impacts that are, by the way, the traffic study is still being drafted, so and that's their thing, we don't draft it. They draft it and review it. Let's say the traffic study identifies two impacts, and then there's these series of mitigations that would then reduce those impacts. And let's say our traffic engineer says, yes, that'll work. So that'll be an example of why it would be a mitigated neg deck as opposed to an environmental impact report. The way it works is that the public notices for the public hearing go out 21 days prior to the hearing, which is also the period of review and comment for the environmental documentation. So when those notices go out 21 days prior to the hearing, it'll also say a proposed mitigating neg deck is proposed for this project, and you can call the city to view it, and it'll be at the public counter, or of course you would call the case planner. So far it's me.
Will the city commit to putting all of those reports and the MND on the website so that we can all see them? So that we don't have to go down to City Hall and see that stuff? We've got a website, there's plenty of ways to
Well,
put it out there.
okay, so As far as the MND being on the city's website, I'll, in 21 days prior, I'll ask about that, okay?
With the studies that support
Right, now,
it being.
now the staff report itself goes out at least 72 hours prior to the planning commission hearing. And that staff report will have an attachment that's the resolution that has the draft conditions on it. And it'll also have the MND on it and the traffic study. Those are standard attachments
But
to any
you'll
staff
have
report.
those, the shade studies,
Now, as
the
far as all
traffic
those other
study, all that
studies-
stuff way ahead of that.
As far as all those other studies, they probably will not be part of the staff report because it'd be too thick. However, the public comment period will be 21 days where anybody can come in and view those documents. I will ask about putting it on the city's website 21 days prior.
That would be really
I'll
helpful,
ask
because a
that.
lot of us
Thank you.
actually work for a living and not in color suits.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to underscore something that you said, okay, because it's very important that you understand CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act, okay? That is a guideline that we are mandated to follow. Okay, so everything that she was asking and everything that Jose was talking about, shade and shadow, sound, airborne pollutants, traffic, parking, all those things, okay, have to be addressed in this PPR, preliminary planning review, as well as in our technical studies that our consultants are doing. Okay. Mike?
Just a quick one, is glare part of that shade and shadow? For like the summertime, if they have reflectivity coming back into the neighborhood?
I believe it is. I believe it is.
There's some stuff in buildings that they have a high reflectivity,
Yeah.
actually degrade the neighborhood. The heat
All
and
coated, like they have
glare.
with Disney Hall.
The Disney Hall is one of them.
Yeah, how much glass is gonna be facing the actual neighborhood?
Right, right. So if you look at the broad elevation, most of the glass that we're looking at is facing the street. And we're looking at a combination of non-reflective glass. We've got some materials that we're going to show you guys that are what they call treated glass. Okay, so it's more translucent, okay, that you know, but it's mostly landscaping over there. Okay, but I just want to finish the environmental study with everything that was talked about between that young lady and the Jose. Okay, those are important things that we're addressing. I'm just going to do the gentleman in the back.
Oh, hi. Lots of questions. Thank you for the presentation. In addition to architecture, is there somebody for operational that can answer this question, parking questions, or in the future, can they be here? For example, a lot of hotels have live music, a guitarist or like small band on the roof for Friday nights. Is that going to be an issue? Tons of stuff. So in addition to trash collection, and has anybody actually slept out there? Meaning, do you know what we deal with out there currently with the drunk, homeless people going through the alley and that kind of stuff? You got a lot of noise, and your sketches somehow don't show the freeway. In addition,
it's in the reflective.
Oh, okay. And just as an architect, I'm just curious, what is, there's I think what they call it, something about the recognition of a face from somebody standing on that terrace. You're saying they can't look down at all into the alley.
That's true.
Because of these bushes. So they're walking onto their terrace and it's just a bush, is what they're saying? I'm just saying, so you're taking it from the client's point of view, but from a resident's point of view, we're looking up to a bunch of concrete and bushes.
You're looking, okay.
Let's say I'm standing in the alley, I'm looking up
Yeah.
5 stories.
Yeah. Thomas, let's go to the division. I mean, first of all, you had a lot of questions.
Yeah, I know, I got more, I apologize, but.
Okay. So one of the things about this alley, okay, is that it has limited, okay, and I want to say utilitarian use that actually happens at let's call it off hours, okay? And so it is very inviting for vagrants, okay, for transients and whatnot, okay? Because it's not used all the time, it's not, and I'm gonna say this carefully, the areas that are lit the wrong way. Okay, if you look at the lighting from Osh on their loading dock, it should have been done lower, okay, but it's actually very high. It's an operational thing, okay, where I think if you actually have cars moving, you have people operating the parking, it becomes more of a self-policing type of environment, particularly at the entrance. Okay? I used to live in New York. I used to live in Pasadena. I live in Pasadena, and old Pasadena, the Upper West Side. Those were places that, before they were developed, a lot of these alleys, side streets, had some tough character. Okay, to them. Once we put in the right uses, right information, even landscaping, okay, people use the alleys. Now, if you go to Old Pasadena now, people move from the parking structures to the main street, which is Colorado Boulevard, to the alleys. And now alleys or allays with the sales are now the connecting, it's called pedestrian ways to the street.
So you're saying-
What we hope to do is to, make this
So you push the riffraff out of there into our neighborhood.
So basically, it's going to be some sort of a pathway now in the future, assuming that more business accumulates farther down the boulevard, right? You're envisioning this very nice pathway versus an alley.
Answer this question right now, okay? I think, look, you do development, yes, it tends to push things, but it should elevate, the broader social questions. What are we doing with people that are homeless? What are we doing with people that, and I hate to point it to the city, but it's all of our calls. One of the things that we need to do is, make housing a priority, it's not gonna happen overnight, okay, but one step at a time. And think about this, the TOT tax that comes from the hotel goes to the city, gets better allocated for other uses and other departments. So, it's a part of a bigger economic model that we're talking about.
Yes, with that picture in mind, I was wondering how and where you expect service vehicles that may be parked there for a while with their refrigerated trucks going to service the restaurants, et cetera.
Yeah.
Where would they be going? Would they basically be sitting out
Okay,
and blocking the alley?
Let's just go to the parking. Okay, so right now, this is kind of in valet mode. Okay? This is actually what they call the auto port or port for share. This is where all of that drop off and pickup happens. Okay? Service vehicles will actually have to happen in one of these turnouts here. So the idea is to do all of our maintenance and service work on site. And I also made an error about parking. So the city's parking code, okay, is about the use, okay, for a hotel, restaurant, or even the rooftop lounge, okay? It's not only for the guests, or whoever's using it, but also for the employees. So all of that is factored into the city code.
What does that mean?
Is it paid parking?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, so, all good and all. I'm not opposed to something looking a little bit better than what's already there. But my biggest concerns is, like the gentleman said before, is traffic that hasn't been addressed in terms of the employees, because as he mentioned, that's an issue over on Mesmer and extends, geez, half a mile or so. That's also an issue for the same dealership, even though it's on the Bevmo parking lot. Parking there, just to go shopping there is a pain in the ass because of the Nissan dealership. But now, past that, my other biggest concern is how is this going to affect my property value?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So again, I'm not opposed to making something look nicer than what's already there. I'm just not sure a 175 room hotel targeting millennials that doesn't have quite the traffic or the space accommodated for the employees, let alone seeing all those new electric millennial scooters that everybody likes to ride being dumped up and down Slauson. So that's really, I think, my biggest concern, I think a few others, is how that traffic's gonna affect our area as well as the property value of our houses.
Okay, so before you spoke, I was trying to correct my parking.
And you may have said something, it's hard for me to hear.
Yeah.
That 207 spaces, are you saying will be for both the employees and guests?
Yes.
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 That's what I thought you said,
You guys can.
So,
Check 1, 2.
You guys got me so tense, I was squeezing them.
Address the question over there. You need to address the question.
car spaces.
property value.
We already know that you haven't really addressed the spaces for the employees, but I'm also concerned about the property value to the houses in the neighborhood. Do you have anything on that?
No.
No, okay. That's
I
fine.
would bet.
No, that's fine. If you don't have it.
Okay.
Hello? I may be small, but I can be loud. So I'm thinking about all these cars that are automatically being put up and down. What about a power outage, which happens in this neighborhood? We're not gonna have this right now.
Okay, so.
My question is, everything that's making these cars go up and down is electrically operated, yes? So what happens if there's a power outage?
Okay, so because this is a type 1 building, okay, because we have high occupancy, this has to be, we have actually an emergency generator backup.
That's enough for that?
Yes. It's just, type 1 is kind of like an office building, high-rise office building, like a hotel, we have to do that.
Thank you.
I already talked to you, I'm gonna do somebody who haven't seen it.
Yeah, hi, I just want to get back to the traffic for a minute, because there's two parts. One is, many years ago, there were many traffic studies in this neighborhood, none of which were sufficient, none of which made any difference to our neighborhoods. And this is going to create more traffic.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, when you said something about traffic studies, and that the city was going to do a traffic study, I think we all, most of us in this room, if you lived here at that time, would be very skeptical that that's going to be anything practical for us, for the residents. So I would call attention to that and to find out how that can be more practical and useful. The other thing is I go out what I call the back way. I live over this way. I go out Slauson to get to the 405 at 5 and 6 o'clock at night, and it's impossible now. So I'm trying to just figure out how, with this development, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but this development and obviously subsequent development that's going to go on Jefferson and around the Sepulveda, how is that's a traffic issue. I mean, how do you resolve that, the on-ramps to the freeway and for people getting on them? How does that get addressed? That may not be your job as the architect, but it has to be part of the discussion.
No, so let me just, it's, the buck stops with me, those consultants, I work with, the sandstone, okay? They are working with the city right now, and when I say they are working with the city, it's Crane and Associates, which is one of the best traffic engineers we've ever worked with. They are working with two gentlemen, I think it's Kurtz and Garcia, in the traffic engineering department, okay? They in turn are working with Caltrans, and so it's not just a localized Virginia fix. I mean, it's kind of a regional look. okay? And so when we submit this, okay, after our PPR, I will have, we plan to have a single subject meeting about traffic and how it's routed, and actually work with the city on, mitigation is used all the time, okay? So there are mitigation measures, is it speed bumps, is it, which I don't like, okay? But, some communities where I live, that's the answer there. The other thing is correct signalization. They use strategic signalization, okay? One area. I live in an area that's only got, it probably has more homes than Circus Park, yet we only have 3 means of in and out, okay? And so we've got to work with traffic. Okay, I live near the Rose Bowl. Okay, so if you guys think you guys have traffic issues, when Beyonce comes to town, okay, there's issues, okay? But there are ways you can actually make that happen by partnering up, in this case with what we do is with the city and the Rose Bowl Operating Committee to actually make those things happen. And we have,
Yeah, but Beyonce doesn't come to every day.
no, but we have, okay, but you're wearing a UCLA jacket, I'm married to woman, we've got the UCLA football schedule. But I'm married to woman. So I know all about traffic, okay, when it comes to community.
It's just a daily.
Is the stadium behind your house?
Are we gonna have access to the alley or is that pond? Because I some of the.
No, that's a public alley. So,
If you do get the building, how long is it gonna take to build the hotel from beginning to end? And is it a Sunday through Saturday type of work being done?
okay, I'm gonna estimate, okay, it's probably gonna be about 22 to 24 months, so just say 2 years. Okay? All right, okay, are you a contractor?
No.
Okay, yeah, I know there's some contractors in here, okay? And so you guys know about shoring and excavation, and there's dirt hauling, okay? And our consultants are gonna be monitoring, okay, the kind of airborne pollutants and everything that happens during that period. There's gonna be limitations on how the contractor can actually work. There's gonna be a haul route, okay, so where they can go in and out. And then once construction happens, when they come out of the ground, there's gonna be limitations on, how and when they can work.
So it could be 2 years of construction, 5 to 7 days a week.
Not 7 days, it's usually it's 5 days a week. I haven't looked at what Culver City is doing.
Because I've seen a lot of Saturday construction going on downtown. It is 11, so that's 6 days a week.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And for the good of the order, it's 8:15. I was listening to you. I got 19 points that I heard that I want to say something about. I'll be real quick. First of all, you had no drawings open for the public to look at beforehand. I think that was a mistake, because you could see and start embracing the project as opposed to having a black screen on it. So think about that the next time. You should inform the residents here that if they're outside the 500-foot radius, and they did get a notice, with many people here may be outside, they can ask the city to be added to your project's mailing list, even though they're outside the requirement.
You're right.
Your conceptual plan you showed maybe the 4th drawing showed greenery going all the way up Sepulveda. Why was that done when all we're talking about is your property tonight?
No, that was, are you gonna go on the rest of the 16 items, or are you going to answer each one?
You, at the very beginning, you said 4 or 5 levels. And then you said
It's 5 levels.
Now that's just to the rooftop. Now above the rooftop, are you gonna have mechanical equipment, elevators? So what's the true height to the highest architectural element?
Okay. By code, you're allowed a certain percentage of mechanical equipment, it's called appurtenances. And that's not just with Culver City, it's every city, okay? And typically, I think that's limited to about 15%. So there will be elevator machine rooms, there will be rooftop HVAC on there. HVAC is usually, 3-4 feet, but those can be, to use the word again, mitigated. We can set those back and we put the enclosures
It'd
around.
be helpful if in all your elevations you show that, because some of your drawings weren't showing that. Can we go to your site plan for a minute? The only inbound access point is off Slauson, or you have access off the alley?
We have, let's go to the ground, okay, so.
Let's go to the ground floor.
Yeah, let's go to the ground floor, okay? So there is no entrance off of Jefferson.
So you're closing that driveway off, okay, fine. So
They're closing.
there's a driveway there now.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're closing that. So the only driveway access to the whole site is off of Slauson. Is that correct?
Slauson and the alley.
And the alley.
Yes.
So you're, answer my question, then you have access from both the street and the alley?
Yes.
Okay, let's go on the street. Is that a raised median that you're proposing? On Slauson? Or is that just?
No, that's the existing painted median right now.
So you're gonna have outbound traffic coming out that may legally not be able to make that left turn because the way it's a double yellow. So you may want to check to see how the street's striped, because if those cars legally can't make the left turn to get onto Jefferson,
okay,
then they're gonna be driving through the neighborhood.
So everything that you're saying right now, those are things that we are going to be working with the city on striking that. And I want to get back to your other point about this alley here, or this driveway, the curb cut for I'm going to say a 17, I forget how many square feet the strip mall is, but the higher volume that will be needed for this hotel, it wouldn't make sense to put it this close to the intersection. So we've been working with the city. The city's in traffic engineering here. But minimize the traffic congestion here and even on here. So we've actually got the port per share, the drop-off activity happening on the site.
I'm not concerned so much with your inbound, it's your outbound pattern that I'm concerned with. Okay. The use of the alley. You talked earlier a few minutes ago about how trying to introduce a concept like in other cities where they have pedestrian activity along the alley. Right now, it only measures, I believe, 20 feet. Two cars can barely get through. What's that?
Yes, 30 feet.
Well, even at 30 feet, two cars can barely get through.
Yeah.
So if you're proposing to do anything, then are you proposing to push your project back and provide a pathway on your property?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Wait, hold on. Okay. You've got a 30-foot wide alley. Okay. You can't tell me that it's hard to pass through.
It
Well, I've only been in the area since 1979.
Okay.
In a variety of different positions.
Okay.
But it's still difficult. I'm not saying it's not manageable, and I agree, because we all driven down 20-foot alleys in other places. I'm just saying, be aware of that. I'm concerned about the use of the alley. You had a drawing that had a blank white wall facing the residence. It was a ground floor elevation that you were showing. I don't know if you
Let's
call
go
it
to the
out.
alley again.
Yeah.
This right here?
Yeah, okay, so your driveway access point, is that close to the property line? So am I correct? Is that a vehicle access point right there?
Okay, this is actually
Yes,
the
right
exit from the Fort Bashir into the alley.
Okay, so cars wanting to get in are gonna be stacking with little capacity to stack in the alley. They're gonna be driven out into the public right of way and blocking the street. What's the capacity of stacking to get in?
Okay, what you're talking about is queuing,
Queuing, exactly.
and there's actually a queuing analysis going on that's been coordinated with our traffic engineer and the city. So I just want to let you know that that's a big concern of ours.
In terms of square footage on the project, how much is open to the public? And whatever activity areas is open to the public, are you doing hotel parking ratios for that? Or are you going to be doing a parking demand study to ask for less than city code?
We are parking per city code. It's 122,000 square feet hotel. 38,000 of that, almost a quarter, is for public use.
Okay. And is that done at the code ratio right now, or are you going to be asking for a reduction in that
There is
ratio?
no reduction. This is, and again, I don't like using the term by right, but we are not asking for any height variances, density, or parking.
Is there any way that you could provide some landscaping along that wall that's facing the alley to soften the visual appearance?
We're talking about this wall right here?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we didn't do any professional renderings. All of these renderings have been done in-house. That wall right
You
there.
guys are professionals?
You should see the professional renderings.
Okay.
How tall
I'm a
is that
professional
wall?
artist. Okay, but that wall right there, that's actually, that's the actual parking berths for the automated parking. So there's actually a roll-down door for every single, I didn't draw it yet.
So then it's not a wall, those are gates that are rolling up.
There's gonna be gates rolling up.
So the noise of the parking will be spewing out across the alley.
No. The noise will be contained, attenuated behind roll-down. And it's actually recessed, by the way.
So when the gates are rolled up, then nothing's gonna happen?
Yeah. So if you look at this, all this right here, this triangular area, this is that wall that you saw.
Yes.
Okay, this is all recessed in. Okay, so just imagine kind of a portico for the cars that the valet operators will be driving through. A roll-up door goes up, they go in, it gets shut down, and everything inside is, and you don't hear it.
I just mentioned two things. If you can try to soften the visual appearance of any part of your building that's permanent facing the alley would be very helpful. And beware to not have anything for your valet service that's going to be placed in the public right of way, because what usually happens, your operators end up putting signs in the public right of way or on the sidewalk for valet signage. That you know that there's a kiosk, there's umbrellas, and
He's done a great trick. He actually said he's gonna look at the time. I'm sorry, question. Hold on. But I want to tell you that queuing question is coming back. It's actually a great question, because you want to contain all of the queuing within the property. Okay? That's what we're
you want to
doing.
make sure that you consider signage and lighting and what effects it has on the residential, so that the orientation doesn't work out of way. Your line of sight study, if you call that up, if you can, you're drawing as a point of reference, a beginning point on private property, the angle of the roof line as if everything is one story up and down that street. Every property that's across this project has the legal capacity to add a second story. So it'd be helpful if conceptually you do a second version of that, so a maximum development on the residential side, and what's the role or impact that has on your property.
That's a good point.
I
I think
caution
you're on
you.
19. Past 19. I really do want to give some.
Two more.
He's doing good.
What you said about parking off-site, what you said, in my opinion, is totally illegal. You cannot make a deal legally with property off-site because the zoning code has very clear restrictions on off-site parking. You have a legal right to do it through a covenant, but nobody that I know of in that whole region has any extra parking that you can covenant.
Okay. I thought I answered this already, but I was in error. Okay, the parking per code, okay, and so the employee parking is part of the use requirement, or it's part of the city code. So no employee parking will be in fact on this side. Okay?
I'll take it for it.
Paul, right?
Yes. Where are the dumpsters going to be set?
Dumpsters.
Okay.
This is the dumpster right here.
Loading dock.
I can't even see this. Okay, this is the loading dock, I'm sorry.
So trucks, service vehicles will be on site with the loading dock happening adjacent.
So it's contained within an alcove for service. So we
And how
can
often-
control the smells, sound, you know, as well as the whole trash removal.
And how often will the trash be picked up?
Okay, so the developer, okay, is, you know, one of their objectives is to actually get a hotel operator all hotel operators operate differently, okay? And so that's gonna be part of the operational requirements, okay? Hours and
I was gonna ask the operator a question, but will this project be certified?
Can't hear you, what?
she's asking if the project is gonna be LEED certified, okay? That's a sustainable threshold, and, we don't know that right now, but per California building code, if we just follow their guidelines, we're automatically in silver, okay? And so,
And that's the case, the extra lane doesn't matter versus what you're getting at the end. for that
Right.
certification.
Right.
The developer, is that also a finance? And who is the preferred contractor on this?
there is no contractor on board there. Yeah, and look, the developer is gonna look for their own financing.
2 years of construction gridlock, concrete trucks, deliveries, construction workers, where are they all gonna park? 2 years. That corner right there is already a major congestion gridlock.
All right, you and I are in the same business, okay? All right, I just came from a meeting 2 days ago about the same issue. So, construction happens, we're actually dealing with something where we got a 250-foot long driveway, private drive to a 1 acre site. Okay, and we worked out a haul route, schedule, flagman, the whole thing with sound mitigation, dust control. Yes, it's gonna take 2 years, okay, but the idea is, how do you get there? Okay, how do you shorten that time frame? Okay, and what benefits can you get to meeting the eye? But it's a question that, I mean, you know as well as I am, it takes that long to do a vote, even with access from 3 sides. Well, 3 sides, you actually have on that.
Oil pipeline that runs underneath.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna get some people that I want to pick.
So, thanks for being here, and ask for touching this. Will today's presence here constitute, like, are you taking notes about our issue?
Okay, so just a couple of things. One, the community meetings are required of the applicants, basically to show. They're required to take notes, they're required to take attendance. They send that to us. We use it as part of our, when we write the staff report about, we summarize the concerns were. And one of the things, I'm taking notes for my own personal reference, in case I see something that I don't think squares with how I saw the meeting go, or meetings. But in the end, it is the applicant's responsibility to provide a summary of the meeting, the notes that then becomes an attachment to the staff report. It informs the planning commission when they're reviewing the item. Was there something in the community meetings that they didn't feel was fully addressed by the applicant? Or did the applicant do things that in their planning commission's opinion address these concerns? All that will be in discussion during the public hearing. Okay? I did want to say a couple of things about construction. There are standard conditions for any entitlement in the city. Things like they have to do a pedestrian protection plan, construction management plan, construction traffic management plan. The hours, the city's hours of construction standard include Sundays. We do have the ability as a discretionary project to limit, to, in other words, make it more constrained. Like, for example, most of the entitlements do not allow construction on on Sundays and national holidays, as an example. The trade-off, of course, is the construction time might be longer, okay? And there's another standard condition that requires the developer to provide parking for the construction employees either on-site or at an approved off-site location and not in the surrounding neighborhood. And during any construction activity, residents can always complain to the city if they don't if they feel that the conditions are not being followed during construction. So, and I think you can answer this, that as a project goes further into construction, we've already done the subterranean and it's already concreted out. Well, I don't know, maybe you, I don't know. how to
Okay,
do
so
that.
he's throwing me a soft pitch. Okay, so the idea is that once, sorry. So, say it takes 24 months to build this. It's probably gonna take, you know, I got our expert here in construction. It's probably gonna take 4 months to do shoring and excavation, get the dirt out, okay? It's probably gonna take another 3 months to build a garage. Okay, once that garage happens, okay, you know, we may be able to put some of the parking in there, but this is an automated parking garage, okay? So, you know, I don't know, I've never, you know, I've never applied this to a construction process, so I don't know how that will work. Okay, but it, who knows?
So it sounds like part of your team is taking notes about this meeting. I would also like to make note that I am concerned about the parking situation. I live on Seabrill. There's 2 hour parking, with the exception for permits, that ends right close to my house. It's not the entire street on Seabrill.
Not the entire street for permit.
Yeah, it's not.
Just very short space at the end of the block.
So,
I didn't know that.
So that would be a concern.
Surprise.
I do want to also note that you have not completely addressed a lot of our community's concerns in this meeting. That includes the parking, that includes the traffic. I think there's still a lot of missing pieces, and I want to know how you're going to address them.
Okay, so real quickly, this meeting, especially if I'm told that you should show the plans and everything else, you know, it's pretty hard to develop a project without understanding the economics, the program, and everything else in the hotel. Now that we are at that point, city mandate is to have this community meeting and not make it a fait accompli, not submit something without hearing from folks. Okay? So the reason I'm saying it's still in the works, I mean, our technical studies and our environmental studies, that includes a lot of stuff regarding parking, traffic, you know, trash operation hours, even during construction. Those are all part of the technical reports that our consultants are finishing. And at that point, we'll probably have another meeting with them. Then say, hey, we heard you guys, and this is what the solution is. Okay? Michael, you gotta wait, because there's some young ladies behind you.
How many employees do you estimate to be there in daytime and evening, and then how many divers do you think you're gonna have? Think about absolute overall capacity in terms of, you know,
Okay, right now we have 208 parking outlets. One of those is going to be used for bicycle parking. But I don't know the exact breakdown of parking for the hotel and parking for the restaurants, but that's all been broken out per code. Okay, we have a 1,800 square foot restaurant with a 1,400 square foot kitchen, so we have a full desk. Okay, all of those things we've met with the planning for the.
I guess what I want to say, you have 30 tables of people, and you still have 200 and something spaces, I guess, plus the restaurant, plus the employees. It doesn't seem like it's quite enough.
It's only 32 spots.
Yeah, extra.
Look, okay. I think I'm hearing that you don't think that we have enough parking based on. Okay.
In addition to people coming to your restaurant.
Because we don't have a hotel operator, we don't know how it's going to be staffed.
That's not being addressed, right, that note.
I'm leaving. How will we be notified of the next meeting? I know these have happened in the
There's
past.
a young man at the door whose name is Jeff Mailman.
Yes.
You just about, if you've signed in.
Oh, wait, I would really like one question. Does anybody know anything about the pipeline that is underneath the alley in the back? Because this was addressed the last time they had had a large construction project, they get a little concerned about this. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of heavy equipment in there. You're gonna be digging really deep. So I wanna know, how safe is all that? I mean, you're talking. The person that apparently knows about the pipeline is out of town this weekend, right? Gina? Did you know about it?
Yes, we have a civil engineer on the job, okay, and there's many pipes in the alley. There's storm, there's gas, there's sewer, so rest assured, okay.
Oil.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so rest assured, we have the city, okay, the alley,
That's what I didn't know.
okay, the alley is that wide because of the pipeline, it's 30 feet wide, okay. The roadway is actually engineered, okay, for HS20 loading, okay. So when I say HS20 loading, that's a structural criteria to take on maximum loading of vehicles. That's the highest load, so fire trucks, everything else can go on, okay.
Well, I'm thinking cranes and heavy things like that.
Yes.
I'm gonna help you.
What about digging down?
Lady behind you.
I was wondering if a comparison was done to the Mayumi Hotel, which all the emphasis is inward, because that's kind of a mixed use on the corner with residential and a school, retail.
And it's only 2 stories.
Why can't it model that? Why does it have to be this external emphasis into our backyards? That's just, no, but I mean, isn't there, why can't it be that way where it's, the emphasis is internal, like the cenote, whatever it is? Why does it have to be external?
So window
Okay,
spacing.
the intent of this hotel design, it's a courtyard display, so you're trying to maximize views, okay, to a hotel guest room, okay? The views to the outside are not that great, okay? And so we've actually done views to the west, and that's why we've screened those terrace views looking upward, okay? And we've actually created this courtyard, so we have a significant number of rooms looking internally, okay? And we're creating the view.
Is there going to be a hotel bar, and if so, what are the hours?
Okay, yes, there will be a hotel bar on the ground floor as well as on the roof, but I don't, there are going to be limitations on operations once we get an operator.
Are you gonna have anything online, a site that we can go to ask questions, get questions answered, and
A lot of things
updates
are,
on
yeah,
when the meetings are gonna be?
so Michael, some of these questions that are coming up, that might be best addressed, we do have some sort of website, but I need to talk with the developer and the city about it.
The alleyway, with regard to the trucks and going through, and also the trucks that come down to put supplies into the various buildings there right now. How are we going to handle your traffic, these trucks and everything like that? Because part of the alleyway obviously looks like it's going to be closed. If that is closed, it will push all the traffic over onto Seagull and Culver Park Boulevard, just a lot of the other areas too.
So, okay, so the alley will not be closed. Okay, it's a public alley. Okay, there's some of the issues about operations for trash, deliveries, all of that stuff is going to have to do some sort of operational management. We have to get an operator, a hotel operator on board, and actually work with the city, work with the developer on when those hours of operation happen. Okay? Because an operator knows that, a hotel operator knows that, hey, we can't upset the neighbors, okay? They're going to be given certain guidelines on when they can make deliveries, laundry pickup, food deliveries, all of that. I'm just going to do one more here, and then I'll come back.
Could you help me understand how your building's not going to block the sun from on?
You will see that in the technical report. We're actually asking to create a shadow study, okay? And we have limited hours as to when that can happen. Okay? They put the restrictions on us. So you're gonna see a shade and shadow study for the environmental. Okay?
It's basically 30 feet.
It will, there will be certain times in the morning where the backyard will have shadows. It will probably be a 3-hour period.
High noon, you'll get 30 to 40 feet of shadow from the wall back.
Well,
That's your
it
area.
depends on the winter solstice or summer solstice.
2 days a year, sure, but most of the time you're getting, look on Google Maps and you can extend the shadow just by looking at their drawing to see what the alley is right now. In addition, can I just take a moment just to say, I understand you're organizing with the city and communicating with the city, but as a neighbor and to my fellow neighbors, I would say I think we need to organize to get our phone numbers together, our emails together, make a list, and to help you out, maybe if we made a web page proposing all our questions where they were all listed, you can answer each and every one of them for all of us to see if we can't make meetings and whatnot. Is that?
I don't want to have dueling websites.
We'll be dueling. I just want to say the city.
I think we'd best if we talk to Jeff and the community.
As long as you could answer our questions
Yeah.
in an easy way is what I want to make it easier for you and for us.
Right. I'm going to tell you, I love face-to-face meetings. I like taking notes, and I
There's
like.
a lot of questions that haven't been answered, you know.
Well, this is the first meeting, and the idea was we weren't here to. This wasn't meant to be a paid meeting.
Sure.
I'm going over to this side.
So actually, my question may be more to the city. On next door, there's been a lot of comments about a gate at the end of, this is the west end of Seagull.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
A gate closing off the west end of Seagull as a traffic mitigation issue. And I don't know where those comments are coming from, or.
I never agree. I'm in the planning division. I think you should address that issue to Public Works.
Fire
engineering division. I would talk to Gabe Garcia, ask him about that. But I don't know anything about moving on.
Say goodbye or?
So you have part of the traffic mitigation plans already in the works, or they just doing a study?
I don't know. Yeah, that is a question for the engineering division. I'm sorry, for Public Works Traffic Engineering. There's a different division of traffic engineering.
I think it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful place. And I think we all here wish that was the right place to put it, but it just doesn't seem like there's enough room for it. I mean, it's beautiful, but that corner just seems like a small corner for a very big, beautiful thing that's going to be right on the edge of us all the time. We're not going to be able to come in, out, all this.
Yeah.
It's not about the place in which you built.
I think you were one of the first people I met.
No, it's the place where you picked to put it.
Yeah, so let me say this, you know, one of the challenges was how can we make this economically viable? Okay, which led to program, financial model, and everything else. Okay, and when you do look at this, you know, do a double take. How do they get 175 rooms in here on these levels without going higher, denser, all of those things? Okay? And I think once we start to go public on these drawings and whatnot, which is now, you know, we'll walk you through that, how we did this. But it actually is intended to be, you know, a very subtle building, okay, in terms of its use. A lot of the people that are going to be using it are not going to be, they're going to be ride sharing. Okay. Well, I will personally meet with you. Okay.
Quick question, union or non-union?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Hey, I'm just a professional architect. Maybe we can work out a PLA.
Oh, no. Well, I know the difference, the site cleanliness, if it goes non-union, neighborhood's gonna throw a fit.
Was it one of you guys said that
Yeah.
you used to be with Kiewit or something?
I work.
Okay, so I used to work with Panko, okay, which came out of Kiewit. Okay, and so, and look, you know, everybody is looking to work, have a job, all that stuff, I get that. And that's also part of this discussion, okay? Job creation, okay, both during construction, and job creation. So let's talk a bit about it. You guys are doing the IQ effect. You guys all in the same seat. Are we breaking up now? Hey, Jeff, you need to come up here.
I want to start like a Google Doc and maybe we could all start.
Yeah, something. I mean, I do need help, but I'll like.